In three, two, oh no, we're recording already. You just hit record. There's no countdown, right? Here we go.
No.
Hey, well, welcome
Hey.
everybody. So if you're just tuning in, my name is David Bradley, sales and marketing manager with Grant Cardone. I am here with my good buddy Vernon Stake.
Hi.
This is Michael Cirillo. He's the CEO, El Queso Grande of Flex Dealer. Michael and I go way back. Real good friends. We've been business partners on a few different ventures before. But the reason that we're here together today is I want to deliver some information to dealers. And what's interesting about where Grant's going vertically and where Michael is going vertically is that we are not limited to just the auto industry at this point. We can touch multiple verticals, and that's what we want to do. We want to help a lot of people, but we've spent a lot of our time in the auto industry. So if you're watching and you're in the automotive industry, Michael is about to give us three, either you can call them whatever you want. You can call them a hack. You can call them tips, tricks, movements, tactics, whatever. But is your website performing the way you want it to, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. Michael's going to drop three really quick tips. And the main reason we're here is I'm going to do a quick screen share. I'm going to show you exactly what prompted me to want to start this conversation with Michael. And then I'm going to have Michael take over and talk about who he is, what his company does, and how he can help you. And then some things you might want to be looking at your website. So here's the screen share on the website. I'm scrolling through LinkedIn one day, and then boom, this thing pops up, right? And Michael, do you want to read it, man? Or do you want me to read it?
You want to go full effect?
Yeah.
All right. News flash. Switching your website provider isn't the answer to all of your digital marketing problems. In fact, history tends to repeat itself in the car biz. And if you look back to the last time you switched website providers, it was probably because of the same problems you're now experiencing. Lack of results, or you weren't showing up in search engines. Well, here's the problem. Your website in and of itself will not solve those problems for you. Your website is no different than any other tool. You still have to know how to use it to get results. If you're sick and tired of lackluster results, zero gains, and not achieving your digital definition of success, I have an action plan that will work for you. And then the DM.
That's right. The DM. So let me push pause on the screen share here. Okay, we're back. So the whole idea really got my attention. You know, it's like, so often in any industry, we have these tools that are just underutilized, that we don't fully maximize to their potential. That not only does that include the technical stuff, right? But that includes your tools.
Yeah.
So we do sales training, right? So how often does our program not get fully utilized? And as a sales professional, the tools that I have in my chest, how often do they get underutilized? So let's get you out of even more obscurity. So Michael Cirillo, AKA Vernon Stake. Who are you? What do you do? And how can you help people?
Well, you know what? First of all, it's dude, this is fun. Thanks for the opportunity to have me here talking about stuff that I'm uber passionate about. That's uber with like the two dots above the U.
That's right.
Okay? You know, what's interesting about what you said earlier is that, you know, absolutely, if you're not in the car industry, this stuff that we're going to talk about today is absolutely going to help you. But what's really cool about the experience that I've gained working with car dealers is that, you know, there are very, very few people on the planet who have garnered experience and attributed results to working with so many 30 to $100 million businesses. And so that's something that, you know, we're really proud of here, is that we've kind of proven ourselves in a space where you know, we're working with 7-figure businesses and helping them improve. So that's really exciting. So if you're outside of the car business, you know, keep paying attention, because even though we're going to be talking about the context of car dealer website or whatever it might be, this stuff is absolutely going to work for you. My agency is kind of in two parts. We are a digital marketing agency. So we specifically focus on how to help businesses grow their business. Okay. We're not just delivering work and doing graphics and social posts, but actually helping businesses in their process for growing and attributing sales to those actions that we do for them. But then on the flip side, I do a lot of consulting. So I sit down with clients who in all senses of the word, pay me lots and lots of money to help them get results. And the reason I say it that way is because it includes a mind shift that a lot of people need to have. Often we look for the cheapest alternatives, but really when you say that, like if you say, and I'll give you a perfect example. I was working from home last week. My wife was out of town, and I was babysitting our daughter, so she's not in school yet or anything, so I was working from the home office. And I felt like I needed a drink, something fizzy or whatever, so I went into the cupboard and looked for soda. And I found this soda brand that I had never heard of. Apparently, it's been in Canada for a long time, but I had never heard of it. It's called Cot Cola. And by the way, if any of you work for Cot Cola, like, all the best, whatever you're doing. But like, I'm thinking Coke, right? I'm thinking Coca-Cola because it's called cola. Dude, I'll tell you right now, it tasted like vinegar water mixed with baking soda. Here's where I'm going with this. In the context of cheap alternatives. It's human nature a lot of times for us to want to look for the cheap alternatives. But if you really say that to yourself over and over again, cheaper alternative, it starts to sound really ridiculous.
Right.
See, I was expecting a result. I was expecting it to taste like Coke, but because it was the cheaper alternative, it both tasted cheap and like an alternative.
It's not like you'd go shopping for the best price of a heart surgeon.
Yeah, right? You want the best heart surgeon there is.
Right. And I'm not really all that concerned about, what his invoice is.
No, you all you know is that if he's giving you a pig heart, man, it better work properly.
Correct.
And it better be the best freaking heart there is, replacing what you've got. Yeah, totally. It's funny. My wife and I watch this show every now and again, which is it's so hilarious. But one of the characters is a doctor, and his daughter has a piano recital, and the person that was playing before her was phenomenal. And the parents are sitting there in the audience going, oh man, like, she's going to totally bomb. She didn't practice. She didn't, whatever. And she gets up there and she kind of like gets her way through the piano piece. But the kid after her shows up on stage with his like music covering his lap. And then he like reveals that he had like peed his pants and was like, there you go. So afterwards, when they're talking to the daughter, they're like, you could have done so much better. You were unprepared and you didn't practice. So what gives? And she looks at her dad, who's the doctor, and says, Dad, are you the best doctor? And he's like, no. Are you the worst doctor? No. She's like, same for me. I knew that I wasn't going to be the best piano player, but I also knew the guy that was following me peed his pants like 15 times during practice. So I knew I could well, you know what? Here's the reality of it. While that's funny and it was a funny visual, that's not how you get ahead in life. You get ahead in life by pursuing excellence, striving for excellence, and taking measures that are going to get you there. So my clients, pay me some decent amounts of money because what we do gets them the results that are directly correlated to what we teach them to do. So those are the two sides of Flex Dealer. Really long way of getting there, but you and I are kind of shooting the breeze here a little bit.
No, I love that. I love that, and how you frame yourself in a place to where your investment is going to produce an ROI, and it seems the stronger that investment is, the more likelihood it will be. And that goes across the board. You can undercut a price, but then that means something else has to get cut. That could be either the service, the experience, the quality.
Totally.
All of those things. And every product, such as, what'd you call it? Gag Cola?
I think it's Cot.
Cot.
I'm going to look it up and maybe we'll screen share it later. And I'm not giving them free advertising. It's like free vinegar water.
Right. But whatever that may be, there can only be one lowest price, right? That's what Grant Cardone says all the time, right? And when you go to that place, and that's what, if you make it about that versus service is senior to selling and deliver way more value than what you ask, then when you're doing that, then your ask should be completely easy, Not
only that, it's a paradigm shift. Here's the last thing I'll say about it. It's a paradigm shift because how many years, for you watching, Kay, how many years have you invested, if I can use that term, in the cheaper alternative and then turned around and actually ended up buying the thing or investing in the thing you knew would actually help, and it was the expensive. Well, cheap compounded is more expensive than just investing wisely with what is going to get you results. So simple example, man, $2.52 for a gallon of Cot Cola, but then I got to go out and this is Canada, man. So we pay for things here, but on top of now is $2.52. I got to go out and spend another $4 on the real deal.
Right.
I could have just spent $4, but now I actually had to spend $7 to get there.
So one of my favorite comedians, Dennis Miller, has this great quote where he's talking about leisure suits on sale at Kmart, 2 for $1. And he's like, hey, pal,
yeah,
2 of crap is still crap.
It's totally the case. So that's what we do. Love if you guys check us out. But before you do that, really what this comes down to is, dude, I'm so sick of people that are like, yeah, I'm the best, and all they do is tell you the best. I want to walk you through some things here that are going to demonstrate some quick wins for you. I want to, instead of trying to charge you for my best information, I'm actually just going to give you a few nuggets here, power bombs, if you listen to the Dealer Playbook podcast.
Power bombs.
That typically I only share with my highest paying clients, but I'm also on the flip side of this, really passionate about helping people achieve their definition of success. And if you talk to anybody on my team, they'll tell you that maybe sometimes I care and take it too personally when people don't, maximize on their potential and do what it takes. So I want to share some really cool things with you. So this concept of you've got a website, maybe you're in a position where you've switched websites, 4 or 5 times in the last decade or half a decade even, I've seen, and it's for the same reasons. Man, we bought this, it was supposed to get me more traffic, leads, and sales. And by the way, I know this is what website vendors are out there pitching, because I used to be one of them. Back in the day, Flex Dealer migrated from a bi-weekly publication of an automotive magazine, kind of like the rags you pick up at a gas station for free that just have a bunch of advertising in them from dealers. We migrated from that business model into full digital, and we developed our own custom website software and platform. It wasn't built on WordPress or anything. Like, we built this thing from the ground up. And so I cut my teeth in the earlier days as a website vendor. And the pitches were all the same, man. Hey, our website's different because it's going to help you get more traffic, leads, and sales. Our website's different because this gadget and gizmo's going to, I don't know why I'm all of a sudden from the Bronx, but like from Brooklyn, but like, do you know what I mean? Like, the pitch is always the same. Here's the thing though. Here's the problem with that. If tech really is the differentiator, okay, if having this website versus this website will truly deliver you results, why are there millions upon millions of WordPress websites? Okay, if tech really matters, why are there millions upon millions of WordPress websites out there that aren't getting results? You see, if success is predicated upon tech alone to get traffic, leads, and sales, then every WordPress website in and of itself should help you get a result. It doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't. Yeah. There are people that have WordPress websites that are banging. There are those that are just like, I don't know what to do. Maybe I need to switch to Joomla, or maybe I need to go to this website. They told me this gadget and gizmo. Dude, it's not. And the reason is because your expectations have been misguided. Your website is nothing. Dude, your website is a hammer. Okay? It's a tool. Yeah. It's like expecting to have a hammer. If I had a hammer sitting on the desk here, it'd be like staring at it and wondering why the pictures haven't hung themselves. That's all your website is. It's a tool. So it's not about just having a hammer. It's about, how do you hold it in your hand? It's about putting in the work. You've got to do something with it. And I think we could all agree that hanging pictures sans the hammer, without the hammer, is going to be really difficult doing with your bare hand. So it serves a purpose, but your expectations of its purpose are misguided. And that's kind of where we're at with technology alone. A website in and of itself will not garner more traffic, leads, and sales. It just won't. It's all about what you do with it. Okay. It's all about how you use that tool to get the desired outcome. And so, you know, in my observations, there's really three things that we can key in on. And dude, if I'm getting all ranty, stop me, right? Because I'm just,
It's all right.
you
It's
can,
all good, man.
you can tell I'm just like, oh man, you know, this is stuff that really matters. So we know the problem. The problem is we've got misguided expectations of tech. Okay.
Yeah.
Just like a hammer, the tech can help you streamline, right? Because it would be difficult to get the nail in the wall with your thumb. So it serves a purpose. Your expectations of its purpose are misguided. That's problem number one. Problem number two is we are easily distracted by the new gadget and gizmo of said tech that we're like, oh my gosh, it's going to do this and customers are going to that and it's going to help us do X. Dude, no, misguided expectations again. So problems 1 and 2 are misguided expectations for what the functions actually are. Yeah, that new gadget and gizmo might make some aspect of the buying journey or the customer's experience better, but it's still not going to solve the problem of why you're not getting more traffic, more leads, and attributing more sales. So how do we turn this around? I'm going to take a drink. That's the first step.
Okay.
First thing is, and I'm going to warn you, some of this stuff is not sexy. Okay. It's not shiny object. It is some fundamentals that you probably already know you should be doing, but aren't doing. My guarantee.
How common is that?
It's so common. Like,
you got these
dude,
fundamentals that you know you should be doing, right? And
always
you just skip them because it's that simple, and it's hard to even comprehend that it should be that simple.
Dude, there's people watching this right now that are scrubbing forward, they wanted to bypass everything I just said about the problems because they just want to get to the meat of it. It's out of yeah, dude, it's out of sequence. People probably do that all the time on your training program, where it's like, dude, Grant, man, like,
well, that's why we actually, that's why we created Quick Fix Solutions and Pick Your Problem, because people they gravitate towards that. Grant's got this awesome example. I mean, years ago when he was still in the Beverly Hills office, he was sitting down with me and Jared, and he's like, you know, one of the problems with training is, you know, for example, he goes, I had this book on how to play blackjack better, right? And I opened it up to the middle, and I read this one chapter, and I got this little nugget, and I immediately ran downstairs and started playing, and I lost my ass.
Yeah.
Right? I had to go back upstairs and read everything up to that chapter and then everything after it before I had a real understanding of what it was. So because
it's out of sequence.
Yeah, and looking for a quick fix or just a quick solution to a game, you need to know the whole game, the start, the change in the middle, and the finish at the end.
You know, it's funny too. Outside of business, okay, the context of business, we understand this this concept, and we understand why it doesn't work. For example, my wife is a running fanatic. She loves running. Okay, she didn't always run though. I mean, it's only been a couple of years, I think, that she started running. Well, she set a goal and she said, I want to do this half marathon, which I don't know what that is. I think it's 20K or 23K or something like that. And dude, she didn't go out the next day and start running 23K. She started with half K. You know, she went on to a K, then she went 3, 5, 8, 10, you know, that sort of thing, and worked her way up over, I think it took her like 4-5 months to really work her way up properly. Also during that time, she invested in herself because there's a guy in town. He's like 90 years old, fit and active as can be. He used to train Canada's Olympic sprinters. He lives here in town. And so he's up at the college at the track. And whoever wants to train to run with him, that's what he does. So she's invested now time to learn how to proper form, how to, you know, maintain stamina and all these sorts of things, posture, so that she can run an efficient 23 kilometers. Okay. And she gets there, but She didn't just walk out her front door the next morning after she made this decision or set this goal. So many people though set goals that way. What do I do to get to 23K faster? And then when they're in their 50s, they wonder why they're bow-legged and hunchbacked.
Right.
So same thing. So we understand that. Yeah, of course, Cirillo, that sounds ridiculous. You wouldn't run 23K the next day if you've never run a day in your life. Of course not. But in business, why are we always like, oh man, I got to make another 120,000 this quarter. Dude, what? So you set that goal and then you look for shortcuts. Well, I'll tell you what, shortcuts turn into long cuts real quick.
Yeah.
And then shortcuts turn into long cuts. So yeah, I knew you'd like that because you're Mr. $1 million man over here, the rich man's gym.
I'm training for a half marathon in July, and then I'm going to actually run one in October.
Oh, so speaking to a perfect example there.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what's unsexy. Step number 1. Okay, I'm going to break these out.
3
Step number 1.
Steps. I think we've just found our title.
Yeah, there it is. 3 unsexy steps to generating or attributing real revenue to your website. Okay. Step number 1 is you've got to have a plan. You know how many people don't have a plan? Like an actual plan. I'm not talking about a Post-it note plan. I'm not talking about a scrap piece of paper plan. I'm talking about you need to actually have somewhere a living document, okay, whether it's a Google Doc or a Microsoft Doc or whatever, a living document, a living marketing plan that is the aggregation of everything you want to achieve, who your audience is going to be or who you want them to be, the products you sell and that you're going to offer, the actions, the strategy that you're going to take to get from point A to point B, threats to your business, the opportunities, your strengths, your weaknesses. You need to have a marketing plan in place. If I'm going to say it this way. Benjamin Franklin supposedly, okay, I'm saying it supposedly because we don't know 100% that he's the one that said this. Benjamin Franklin supposedly once said, if you fail to plan, you are only planning to fail.
Right.
So
you're right. This is not sexy.
Dude, it's not sexy at all. It sucks. It takes work.
Right.
And in even breaking it down into that context, you're not going to have a marketing plan overnight. This is going to take you some time, especially if you don't have one currently. If you do have one currently, congratulations. All you have to do now is jump in there and see if it actually makes sense for what you want to achieve.
Tighten it up. So some things in our plan are going to be, number 1, where are we at? Number 2, where are we trying to go? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do we need to be doing on the daily to get closer to this?
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So
and here's a key to that. A key to that is you also need to know who your audience is.
Audience. Okay. Targets, measurements, audience.
Targets, measurements, audience, threats, your strengths, your weaknesses. You need to have this stuff. Okay.
Can you just touch on, because so let's just use automotive because it's an easy example. So when we say audience, right, it's very easy to think or to simplify that into, okay, are they breathing? Yes. Do they have a license? Yeah, that's my audience. Right? Can they get, we could refine a little bit more. Can they get financed? Okay, there's my audience, right? So it's like, what does that mean though? Like, what's my audience?
So, here's a really easy way to identify your audience. Okay.
Yeah.
Log into your CRM, look at everybody over the last 2 years that has purchased a vehicle from you, and analyze or extract any little piece of information you can get to learn more about these people. For example, you might say you're a Honda dealer and you've sold, 400 CRVs or Honda Pilots in the last year. And when you look at the Honda Pilot sales, you realize that most of them have been made by families, people with families, right? Mom's a soccer mom, dad's a, weekend expedition, kayaking, like all those sorts of things.
Right.
And you kind of notice that trend. Well, immediately in your marketing plan, you can say, oh, wait a second. We want to attract more families to purchase the Honda Pilot. And then here are the ways we're going to do that. And I'm going to talk about how you do that in step number 2. So, but knowing your audiences, your audience segments, it's not just new car, used cars, lease, finance, service clients.
It's the real nitty and the gritty. So you talked about things like soccer mom. You talked about things like the husband who likes to do kayaking on the weekends. So these are the niches that are starting to start
exactly
have some commonalities and some trends.
Buyer personas,
right? And how often, just out of curiosity, how often does that match what the OEM typically puts out?
Well, here's what's interesting about this is if you had to guess. Okay, and I don't have a specific number, but we can make some pretty calculated assumptions here. If you had to guess how much money the OEM spends to do market research, segmentation, right, come up with buyer personas, come on, man, they're not sitting in a boardroom saying, well, Chevy just came out with this crossover SUV. Maybe we got to do the same. I don't know who I am right now, but that's not how they do business.
Right.
They are building vehicles to supply a specific demand. I mean, that's a business 101, supply
right,
and demand. Right?
Right. So if you don't and the reason I'm asking that question is that a lot of times the CRM is not going to give us that kind of data, because if you're not using the CRM and it comes back
properly,
right, then you're not going to have that. And so if you're looking at who my audience is, if you don't know.
Okay. So dude, check this out. I'm going to do a screen share. Cause I knew we were going to talk about this. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to, let me
I just think it's really important
for a second.
It's one of these things that, and I think back, when I was in the auto industry and I'm the internet guy, and who am I reaching out to and how do I do that effectively? And that was a huge disconnect for me, I think, personally.
Yeah. So I'll show you real quick. I mean, I love that you brought this up, and I love that I'm prepared for it, because it is probably the easiest thing you can do to figure out who your audience could be or should be. Okay.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about this in a little bit more detail. No, you don't have to guess, dude. All of this is about eliminating the guesswork. There's so many people just spinning their tires. So when I said I was prepared, man, I was actually prepared. You see, we got the 2017, and let me know. You can see my screen?
I got it.
Okay, so 2017 Pilot. What do you notice just by looking at this?
Okay, keep in mind, you got a bike on the roof. There's a couple dudes in there. Yeah. So,
and check this out.
Off road. We're not on pavement.
Check this out right here.
The modern
2017 Pilot. The modern family SUV. So, if you had to take a guess, what do you already know about the ideal audience of this vehicle? This is the first page, by the way, of Honda's website.
Yeah.
For this vehicle. Well, watch this, because they tell a story here. Again, bear in mind, they're spending millions of dollars on this kind of research. They've hired, the VaynerMedias of the world to help them come up with this stuff. So we look at the next slide. Roomy, refined, and ready to go. Why would who's that important to? An old lady?
No.
Come on, man. Right?
That's
next step.
Mom and dad, kids.
Exactly. A new adventure every day. So we see, so what do they mean by modern family? They obviously mean that this is a family that's got an active lifestyle. They are advocating for active lifestyles and families and activities that families can do together. They are advocating for good experiences as a family, really pulling on the emotional, heartstrings of the whole deal. In other words, insinuating, here's how you will feel when you own this vehicle, right?
Yeah.
Next slide. Designed to draw attention. Look at the setting, man. It's the same kid it's the same father. It's the daughter. Dude, this is the all-American family. Active parents, young, hip, modern. The daughter's a cheerleader. The son's probably the quarterback. And it's all emotional. How are you going to feel when you draw attention after your kid just won the football game and your daughter's the hottest cheerleader in the group? Like, I mean, it's really, really idealistic,
We're
but
heading
you
to
know
the
where they're
pizza
going.
parlor in our Honda Pilot.
Yeah, we're heading to the pizza parlor in our Honda Pilot, even though, let's face it, we all don't eat pizza. We eat kale salad with cranberries. You know, next slide, right? More space.
It's a gluten-free pizza.
It's a gluten-free pizza. Exactly. I've got an egg allergy.
Non-GMO cheese.
That's right. More space so you see where we're going. Same family again.
Right.
Right. So you tell me.
Now we threw a dog in the mix too. Did you see that?
Yeah, we threw a dog in the mix. We're camping. We're lifestyle. There's a fishing reel thing here. I think that's what that is. Yeah, because he's got a stick in the creek. I don't know what kind of fish are hanging out in that shallow of a creek, but
trout.
Okay, fair. So I'm not a fisherman. So if there's any fishermen hardware companies watching this, that's
multiple
not how
Canadians just
me.
rolled in their grave. I want you to know that.
Oh yeah. Oh, they're like, this dude's officially not Canadian.
Nope.
But then after they have tugged on the emotional aspect of this, then they start talking features. Isn't that interesting? They don't talk about features first. No. They get you hooked into the emotion. Now they're talking about plenty of brains with all that beauty. All right, cool. We just activated dad, CarPlay in your Pilot. Cool. Dad stuff. I'm a geek. Accessibility. That's interesting. Maps, timing, start talking to mom. And then that's the last slide. They bring you right back to the beginning. Right. So buddy, like we didn't do anything but look at the homepage, right? Like,
and now I know exactly who I'm after, right? So so my website, I want to start targeting, pilot drivers. Now I know exactly who I need to be targeting.
And some of the things that they care about. Now, what's really cool about this is that's the way they've positioned the vehicle. That becomes a target audience. And really cool if you live in an area like me that's in the mountains, that's surrounded by probably 600 world-class mountain biking trails.
Yeah.
Right? Makes sense?
Convenient.
So you need to have a plan. I get it, man. It's unsexy. It's going to take time. You're going to feel like you need to rush this deal. Promise me that you will make it through and you will stick to it, because here's the benefit, okay? There is a scene in Disney's Alice in Wonderland, okay? Alice is now in the Wonderland and she's walking down this path that forks. So there's a fork in the road and there's this tree right dead center in the fork. And this is when the Cheshire Cat appears for the first time. And I'm summarizing here, paraphrasing, but basically she says, which way should I go? And the Cheshire Cat says, where do you want to end up? And she says, I don't know that it really matters. And he says, well, if it doesn't matter where you want to go, then it really doesn't matter what path you take. That's why you need a plan. Think of how many people are flip-flopping. A vendor calls them up, because I know you're getting bombarded by vendor calls day in and day out. Vendor calls you up and talks to you about the new shiny gizmo and gadget, and you stop everything to consider this because you think it's going to help you do what you really want, not realizing that it's completely diverted your attention and moved you off course. So you need a plan because it keeps you on focus. It helps you understand your audience. It helps you understand how to play to your strengths, amplify your strengths, diminish or amplify strengths, not weaknesses, basically.
Right. And we say the exact same thing to our clients, which I think is highly interesting as well. So it's like, sales training tends to get lobbed into this idea that it's an activity, right? That it's something that you should do, but if there's no process behind it, then it's just random. And then of course, no wonder you conclude that it doesn't work because you didn't have a destination in mind. So when we're when we're working with a client, it's, where are you at? Where do you want to be? How do you, in the next 13, 18 months using our program, how do you know you got your money's worth? Well, I would need to see this and I would need to see that. And I would need to say, great. Okay. So here's how we're going to train through that. And then here's a training process that you can implement to get you there. And so if they don't have that, then it's just, we're watching videos and taking tests and, and then it doesn't have, again, not sexy. Right. But if there's no plan and no plan for your website, no plan for your sales training, then it's randomized and there's no real accountability in play to, are we getting the results that we're after? And then that's how it becomes very easy to conclude that the website doesn't work or the training doesn't work. And the reality is we didn't have a plan. So we have no way to know if it is or it isn't.
Yeah. How can you measure success if you didn't know where you wanted to end up? You might already be there.
Right. And that's just such a huge thing to just understand, where do we need to go? So have a plan. Love it. What's number 2?
Number 2 is the secret that everyone knows about, but doesn't do properly. And it's a little bit more sexy because it's part pat yourself on the back because you already knew it, and part kick yourself in the butt because you're not doing it properly. The secret, probably the most important thing for generating sales from your website, is summed up in one word: attention. You need people's attention. And I know people are dropping off right now, man. They're going, dude, what? That's the secret? Attention? I'm already spending so much money advertising, and I do Facebook ads and I do Google ads and yada, 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 yada. And the list goes on. And people just dropped off because they're like, okay, no value here. Well, I'm glad they dropped off just now, because they're that same group of people that spin in circles. They're the group of people that sit in a rocking chair, lots of busy work, lots of motion, no movement. And 10 years from now, they wonder why they're freaking greeting people at their local department store. So I'm glad they're gone, because now those of you that are still here can hear what I'm really about to say here about attention. The fact that you're advertising and you've got a website and you're have a Facebook page, it doesn't matter, because 9 times out of 10, the way you are trying to get people's attention is disruptive and it's getting ignored. And here's what I mean by that. What I mean by that is, if we had to go to Facebook right now, what would we see in our newsfeed from car dealers? We would see advertisements about price. We would see advertisement about finance options. We would see car sales people that force their clients to hold up the sign that says, you should be here. Right?
Right.
Thanks to Mrs. Smith for, dude, how does that help me? Okay. So
it's like those old license plate frames back. I don't know if you had them up there, but there was I forget the company name, but the license plate frame that they had on their car would say "stolen from," and then the name of the dealer.
It's the problem with it is it's busy work, and busy work is the best liar, because it makes you feel like you're doing something, but you have not moved anywhere. And that, like the rocking chair, that's the best analogy. So, guaranteed how many people, and look, I'm speaking from experience because I've been here in the past.
Yeah.
You post something on Instagram and you get 200 likes and you're like, I'm the cat's meow. Likes, man. Likes aren't money.
Right. Can't cash a like.
You can't cash a like. So they're out there. They understand that the secret is getting people's attention, but they're not going about it in the right way. So what do they need to do? They need to reference back to their marketing plan that they now have. They need to say, all right, step 1 is we need to talk to the Modern family in Morro Bay, California. Right?
Right.
What are we going to do? Not how are we going to do it? Okay, so many people get stuck up on this how concept. What's the first step I'm going to take to help us get to our goal? And the way you do it, you ready for this? Because it's kind of also unsexy.
Can I guess?
Content.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right.
Content.
Yeah.
Listen to this. 78. You ready for this? I'm going to start throwing out stats like I know what I'm talking about. 78%. Okay. 78% of online shoppers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 78% of online shoppers say that companies who produce content are interested in having a good relationship. How many times have you said this? I know I've said it a million times. Relationships of trust. Like, you purchase things from people you both like and trust.
Right.
Therefore, the key to, and we're talking about high ticket items. If you didn't have faith in a realtor, they're getting kicked to the curb. How many people are going to feel, or a realtor who turns around and they're like, and we see this trend. It's weird. I don't understand it. They're like 3% realty, and now it's 1.5% realty, and everybody's trying to like cut on commissions to make themselves sound more valuable. Dude, I don't want to buy a house from somebody that's only making 1.5% commission, because that means that they are not putting in the work.
Right.
Probably
Check
the
this
dude.
out.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about I mean, this is a prime example too, and I'm glad we're able to step into the real estate field. Right now, my in-laws have been debating moving up here.
Yeah.
So we're on the hunt. We're looking for things in their budget, things that, and my father-in-law doesn't want to step out of his comfort zone. They're retired. They're on a fixed, it's the whole thing. Right. So we're looking for, we're in a specific price point, specific location. We find something that was perfect. I mean, right.
Yeah.
Took me a week and a half to actually get a realtor to call me back. She sets an appointment with us to come see the property. When we get there, we find out that it's for the house. The price is for the house. Oh, no, the lot's owned by somebody else. You'll have to negotiate that separately.
Cool.
And you think it's appropriate to market your, I mean, I just went off on this woman. I mean, it's like, how is that providing value? Like, how is that providing content? How is that being of service? I mean, it's like just legit old school bait and switch.
Well, and what's fascinating about that,
and you know what? The lot costs more than the damn house. Like, as if I'm going to step up, like,
no,
like, how is that remotely a good idea?
Yeah. Well, and it goes along with this. If you wanted to, it wasn't the realtor and it wasn't the company that attracted you to this thing. It was what you believed was, lining up with all of your expectations.
Right. So now guess who we're working with? So here's the moral of the story. So as I'm searching through, debating whether or not I want to blow this woman up on every social platform and ruin her career, I stumble on an article.
Yeah.
Right. A blog post, like effective, how to search Zulu and not get screwed, or something to that effect. I forget the title of the blog post, but it leads me back to a realtor. And now we found somebody.
Yeah. Interesting how that happens.
Yeah.
And what's even more interesting about this too is, well, I shouldn't say more interesting. That was really, that really demonstrates very clearly, how consumers are making decisions today, right? Like, I don't know what it is in the States. I imagine it's pretty similar, probably a little bit higher, but dude, 61% of Canadian shoppers say that content in what we call Micromoments, or like I want to know moments, help shape their purchase decisions.
Yeah.
And I mean, and look, you've just shared a perfect example of what that looks like. So how do we get their attention? We get it with content, not just any kind of content that is about them. We had more people drop off when they heard me say content. They're like, I'm already doing content. Yeah. But if any of them, if we had the ability to have any of them call in and show us what kind of content they're doing, I bet you anything they are counting the social posts of, you should be here, and the Instagram post of you should be here, and the blog post that says check out the 2015 Camaro we just brought in on trade. They're counting all of that as content, and it's getting ignored, and it's not giving them the results they want because nobody cares. It's all about them as the dealer,
right,
when it needs to be all about the consumer. You see what you just talked about, how to,
from an automotive standpoint, what would be some like classic examples? I know, like when I was in the last brand I sold was Buick, GMC, Cadillac. I did a video on how to pair a Bluetooth phone to a GMC Terrain.
Yeah.
And I got people from all over the country on that video. Like I got a call from a dude in Ohio. He's like, hey man, saw that video. I work for Verizon. Totally saved my butt, man.
Well, what's genius about that play is it appeals to post-purchase shoppers, but also simultaneously increases loyalty to the point where they will want to refer business.
Yeah.
Right. Here's an example of a high level search. How many people do you think are actually going online and typing in 2017 Honda Pilot versus the top safest crossover SUVs on the market? This is where people start. We always, the reason why the reason why content today isn't working is because, and advertising and anything we're doing to try and garner attention, the reason it's not working is because it is all focused on the same phase of the buying process, the decision phase.
Yeah.
Go ink up. That's why it's all about pricing. It's all about finance rates. But buddy, like, I'm not interested in any of that stuff until I've figured out what I want. And so dealers are waging a fierce battle, spending more and more and more money to try and get attention from people who are already making a decision. In other words, you're spending most of your ad budget and most of your marketing budget trying to get attention from people when it's too late.
Right. So like one of the stats we know for, especially in the auto industry, is that by the time a consumer gets to either your website or gets to your dealership or your store, they're about 57% of the way done. Right.
Yeah.
And then there's another statistic where, most consumers now physically show up at 1.2, 1.4. That the point is randomized based on who's quoting the study. But the reality for me is that, man, if you're the 0.2 or you're the 0.4, you screwed up.
Big time.
They're legitimately basically done by the time they physically show up, or by the time they engage in a company. They're 50% of the way there. I'm in the market for a car. I've got it narrowed down to 2. I'm 57% done. Right. And for me, it's not even about the money at this point. It's, do I go convertible or do I get a sedan? And I've got it down to one or the other. It's like, whoever is now providing me the value that I need, because that's really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a salesperson.
Well, and you had to do it on your own. Like you had to go 60% of the way by yourself, left to your own devices.
Right.
How does that make any sense? So we go to these conferences and we talk all about, oh, actually this new gadget on your website is going to help you drive in more qualified traffic. How? What's it going to do? Because if I'm telling you right now, if it's not going to produce content that they care about, that answers their questions, that's useful to them and helps move them through their decision-making process or their path to purchase, then it's not going to help.
Right.
What it's going to do, what it's going to do.
Thing on a whole other episode on effective content creation.
Buddy, there's information for days about how to do this effectively. And I mean, just so everyone knows, I'll throw in this little side note here, which is I'm not one of these guys that just talks about this because I read a Google, article about the effectiveness of content. I've built my entire business. My entire business has been built on generating revenue from doing exactly what I'm talking about right now.
Boom. Love it.
Okay.
So we've got, have the plan.
Have the plan.
The secret then is get attention through effective content, right? Relevant attention, I think would be
meaningful attention. Yeah,
meaningful.
exactly.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And then number 3 comes down to
You ready?
Yeah.
Flow.
Flow.
What's your flow, man? What are you doing?
Like Kiss My Grits flow, or
maybe we change the word. The path you take them on.
flow?
So we
No,
all
I like flow.
yeah, I mean, look,
Flow with a
we all
W.
know that flow with a W.
Yeah.
Flow rider. You know, it's like we all know that there is a path to purchase. We all know that there's a buying funnel, a sales funnel, whatever you want to call it. We know what the phases are, right? Attention, like breaking them down real simple: attention, consideration, decision, right? Purchase,
Right.
you know, post-purchase stuff, the loyalty and retention and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So we need to create content that flows them through this journey. We want to virtually take them by the hand and lead them reputably, trustworthily through the flow. So for example, if we know that, yeah.
You haven't used the word funnel yet. Why not?
Because I think it has the wrong content. Like people are really good at seeing the tip of the iceberg above the water without understanding the context of what's going on underneath. And the reason I don't use the word funnel is because it automatically turns us all into salespeople. And don't get me wrong, in the context of what we are talking about, no. In the context of what we're talking about, we don't need salespeople. We need people that are interested in somebody else. You know, so if you look at that, like I would argue that Cardone training doesn't turn you into a salesperson; it turns you into a person.
A better communicator.
A better communicator.
Yeah.
It's not about, like, when's the last time you were sold something? Like somebody had to sell you on, like, I believe if somebody has to like sell you on something, it probably wasn't that good. Right? But if you can communicate value, you're not a salesperson. You're just a good person trying to enrich and enhance somebody's life. So the reason I shy away from the word funnel is because it automatically makes the fangs grow. People get money hungry. And what I'm trying to convey here is the way that you generate more money is by being a good person first, caring about them first. We get the warm and the fuzzies when we hear people like the late Zig Ziglar, right? Help as many other people get what they want and you'll have everything that you want.
Want to make a million, help a million people, right?
Yeah, we go, oh, that's sexy. Dude, no, this is what it really looks like. This is what it really looks like, is helping people get what they want. The whole thing, like everything that you do in your career is to help people get what they want by training and educating them and helping them reach higher and be better communicators and how to convey value better and what it is that they sell. And you teach them how to believe, like you got to believe in what you're communicating or what you're conveying value in order to compel people, not what's the opposite of compel? To convince. I don't, dude. I went into the parking lot of the hardware store, and there was this guy selling this like magic spray, like waterless car wash type spray, where it's like, you'll never have to wash you spray this on and buff it with this thing and then buff it out with that thing, and you won't have to wash your car for like 8 weeks. And I was like, really, like convince, demonstrate, old school stuff, right?
Yeah.
I bought 2 bottles of this crap, and then I realized something. I don't like washing my own car.
Do you come with it, buddy?
Right. He could have compelled me by saying, had he changed his communication methods and said, hey, how old's your son? He's 7. You guys look like you really value work. We do. Washing the car is one of the earliest things my dad had me doing to really start teaching me the value of work. That's really interesting. My dad did something similar. Well, there you go. So what we're talking about today is not you buying this product. We're talking about how to teach your son the value of work by getting him to do something he can't screw up, like wash the car.
Right. So it's about, so for the people, so we're still selling, right? So,
of course.
If we're coming back to a website, right? So we've got this plan in play, right? We've got correct content. And then now
Yeah.
we need to, the content and then the flow and the path needs to be
Yeah.
about delivering value that is not just about buy the product. So if it's a car, it's a supplement, it's a house with no lot.
Yeah.
If it's those things, then are we moving it in a direction that addresses the real picture, right? Because
Sure.
right in this case, the family outing, if we go back to the Honda Pilot, right? The camping trip, right? If we go back to my example, my in-laws being close to my wife, and that makes everybody happy, right? That is what's being bought right now.
Yeah.
Not a house, not a Pilot, not waterless car wash stuff. It's my son learning values, right? It's my in-laws being closer to us. It's family outing, post-football game, togetherness, bonding.
Totally.
So that's what's being sold here, not necessarily 4 wheels and a bunch of aluminum, plastic, and steel.
Yeah, you're getting their attention about about a very compelling experience, emotion, value, whatever it is. And the way we do that is by just keying in on the phases of their journey. So for example, if we know that people top of, using the terms, top of funnel are not looking necessarily for prices because they haven't figured out what they want yet. And they're sitting up there saying, well, safety is important to me. Okay, I guess you know what I'll do? I'll look for a list of the safest vehicles you can buy today. What happens if you have a blog post or a video on your website that talks about the top 10 safest vehicles on the road, both entry level, mid level, and luxury level? And at the bottom of that blog post or at the end of that video, you say, hey, click the link to find out the 5 unique. Let's do it in the context of the Pilot, since that's what we were talking about earlier. Because families are going to be interested in safety. I mean, I know I drive an SUV and I've got 3 kids under the age of 8, so safety is obviously an important thing. My wife tells me. So no, I'm just kidding. So we do this. We catch them about what they're interested in. We get their attention on their terms. Top 10 safest entry level, mid level, and luxury level SUVs on the market today. And that's the post. Boom, 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 boom. We list them out. The call to action on that post is find out the 5 most unique safety features on the 2017 Honda Pilot. And they click that link and we move them to a page, not a blog post. Now we're talking about a page. We want to drive these people into like some evergreen, value about this vehicle. It kind of changes the psychology a little bit. Blog posts are more casual, more like friendly. A page on your site's kind of like the brochure now. We want to move them along and start shifting their psychology a little bit. So we bring them to a page that, lo and behold, talks about highlights the 5 most unique safety features of the Honda Pilot. That page has a call to action, and that call to action is view our Honda Pilot color selection or something. Right? It's all psychology of getting people to move. They click that, and it brings them to a dedicated search results page that only, this is the key, only shows Honda Pilots. Man, big pet peeve is when people do this crap and it's just, here's every single piece of inventory. This is where tech providers, this is the misguided expectations. They're like, oh, well, you can filter your inventory just like Amazon. You can dude, no, just stop. It's not the same thing. Right. Because I know I can't buy this car online yet. So we bring them to an inventory search results page that only highlights the Honda Pilots you have in stock. None of this, we could, get our best price and find out if it's available. Shut up. Like nobody buys gimmicks. And then from there, your call to action is learn about this Honda Pilot. So they're on this list of learn about this one specifically.
Yeah.
Okay. because you're going to have different trims. You're going to have different, options, all those different. Learn about this one. Boom. They click on it. Now they're on a VDP. What do people do on VDPs? And we've seen research and
for those in the auto industry that are watching this, what does VDP stand for again?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there you go. Vehicle detail page. And in other words, it's your product page. Okay.
Yeah.
On Amazon, it's where you add to cart, right? You click to get more information. So we click through to this page. What's the biggest problem that most people make with these product description pages?
Yeah.
They add 700 calls to action that are all about the decision phase, the money. Get best price, get e-price, schedule test drive. What's my trade worth? Blah, blah, blah. Every call to action is targeted towards 10% of in-market shoppers who are in the decision phase of the buying process. Meanwhile, you just totally screwed everyone else that doesn't.
Alienated the other 90%.
So I did an episode of the Dealer Playbook podcast with a guy named Ollie Gardner. It's episode 116, I think. He is the founder and CEO of a company called Unbounce. All Unbounce does is landing page stuff, name. Right? Ollie, right?
No, Unbounce.
What does that remind? Oh, Unbounce. I thought you were going to say Ollie's a great name. It is a great name. It reminds me of Huckleberry from what is it? From Police Academy, right? He always used to play these pranks on the team, and they'd go, "Oh, right, Ollie oxen free." Yeah. Anyway, I digress. Yeah. 700 options. Here's what Ollie says: you will see an immediate 30 to 50% increase in conversions if you get rid of all of the other options that don't matter, okay, and make your call to action more specific. So you'll notice my calls to action and
increase.
30 to 50% increase depending on the market, okay? For car dealers, I would suspect it's going to be closer to 20 to 30%, and there's a variety of reasons, outside factors that contribute to that, right? But here's kind of the science behind that. Have you ever you guys have a really cool like walkway there down by the beach. I'm sure there's an ice cream store down there or something like that where you can go in and get some ice cream. And a lot of people get compelled by this type of a headline: 187 flavors of soft serve ice cream. And we go, that sounds like such a good idea. And then we get in there and we see rows and rows and rows of ice cream. And we're like, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want. And you're spending all this time there. Okay. Listen with the contextual ears. You're on the page and you're going, and you're spending all your time on this page saying, I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want. I don't know what I want. Well, studies show that if there are a ton of options, customers will actually go two routes. They will talk themselves out of making an option altogether, making a choice altogether, or they are likely to be less satisfied with the option they made. They're like, oh man, maybe I would have been better with Neapolitan or pralines and cream, but I'm sitting here licking bubblegum flavor. Like, was that the right thing? Like, would I have been happier with my decision if I got the pralines? Right. So same thing applies to your website. When you have multiple options, you're putting people in a position where they either get overwhelmed to the point where they won't make a choice at all.
They bail.
They bounce, they're gone.
Right.
Or they are less satisfied with the option they made. They're like, it only gives me best price, finance, like apply for credit, schedule a test drive. I guess schedule a test drive is the closest to what I'm looking for, but I don't know. And then they submit it. And how many times have you had this happen where you get the lead, you call them up and they're like, yeah, I'm not really sure what I want. Like, and you go, stupid website doesn't do anything for me.
Right.
So how do we actually get attention and then make something happen from it? You get their attention by producing content that addresses them at every phase of the buying process, and you put them into the flow. Now, if somebody had gotten themselves to the second phase, the consideration phase or the wanting more information or whatever, and they entered your site in on that second page I talked about, which was the 5 unique safety features of the Honda Pilot, cool. You're still funneling them through. You just didn't do it from the beginning, but you still caught them earlier on in the buying journey to then get them in and say, oh, now look at our color options. And we look at the color options and then learn about this specific SUV. And then they click on it. You need to determine what your highest value objective is going to be that both aligns with your business objectives and their desires.
What you're describing to me sounds like a far more organic way of going about making a decision on a product.
Yeah, and the reason it's organic,
like if you just think about like how you buy something.
Yeah.
You know, that just what you're saying, and I like the fact that, and that's why I asked you about funnel was, you know, you the first, you know, flow path. You know, it's like, this is how somebody's going to flow through their purchase, you know, and whether that's a car or whatever, doesn't even matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do we flow through the purchase, and how do we arrive in the actual, see, a lot of people think the communication cycle starts when the lead gets submitted, but the reality is the communication cycle started at Google.
Yeah. It started at Google. What is it, like 45 days ago?
Yeah.
You're late to the party, man, by 45 days.
We're all really, really late. And so, and that's one of the things that I try and impress on our clients is that, man, you have to respond like yesterday. Legitimately, you should have preempted the call before he even submitted the quote request, you know? And a prime example on that is just recently, I mentioned I'm in the market for a car. The brands that I want, because I'm a little bit in the sticks out here, right? So the brands I'm interested in are 2.5 hours south of me.
Yeah.
So I submit some information because I wanted to pop in. I was going to be passing through on a Saturday. I wanted to pop in, take them both for a drive, and then figure it out, and then, you know, do something. Nobody got back to me. I got no phone calls. So I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna walk in cold. I go into the first dealer, meet a nice guy, takes me on a drive, tell him I'm not ready yet, no problem. He does offer to put numbers in front of me, which I declined. But the fact that he did was cool. I leave.
Yeah.
The next morning, the internet manager calls me. Hey, are you still in the market for the yada yada? I'm like, really? So who's been digging in the CRM and go, oh, that's my guy that I haven't called in 7 days.
Yeah.
So I was cool. I didn't I wanted to call him out, but
you're like, actually, I decided I'm buying a horse.
Yeah.
I can find more information about how to buy a horse online than cars.
But yeah. I mean, no email, no, I check spam, right? No email. Yeah. I got an autoresponder. No phone call, no video, no, it was like, wow, man, and then, and I just, I wonder if they're sitting there thinking, the website doesn't produce, these guys are all strokes or whatever the deal is, the leads are weak.
Yeah. Well, and let me just say this, if I had to recap all of this, the brilliance of it is you get to know your audience in much more efficient ways, right? Deeper into their lives. And the value of that is that you'll then know how to talk to them and what to talk to them about. The second thing is getting meaningful attention by producing it, like supply and demand.
It's so important.
They want, dude, customers today have an insatiable appetite for content. So give it to them. Okay. Yeah. Supply the demand on their terms about the things they care about. Okay. And then the flow. And I want to add a little bonus here because I know a lot of people are talking about Facebook ads. If you're thinking about Facebook ads, definitely yes. Only if you're going to promise me you do it this way though. Because think of how powerful, okay? Facebook's partnered with 3 of the largest data. Did we say data or data? I can't remember. It's tough speaking Canadian and American in the same meeting here, but
both worked in the Goonies, so I think it's okay.
There you go. There you guys.
Right.
Facebook has partnered with 3 of the largest data providers on the planet. That means with more ability than ever before in our history, can you get your message in front of the right audience at the right time, in the right place, in the right way? And so to get in front of this flow concept, a really cool flow would be to advertise that blog post about the 10 safest entry level, mid level, luxury level SUVs, and you go and you target it to modern families who are interested in safety, who enjoy little league, who whatever. You target them, you get them in. The call to action brings them to the second page. That's about now specifically the unique safety features of the Honda Pilot, which is what you sell, or Chevy Avalanche, or whatever the models are, right?
Right. Versus best deal in town.
We got the best deal on Honda Pilots in town. Cool.
Now what?
Now what?
Yeah.
Why do I care? What's the Honda Pilot all about?
Especially if you're not even there yet. And how did you even show up? Right. So yeah,
totally. And so it's not like you have to sit here and just wait for a year for all of that content to rank organically. Although that's a real power play here, real long-term evergreen. Content is so powerful because it's evergreen. It lasts forever.
Yeah.
Right. But this is a way that you can spend, and because the information is going to be more relevant to your audience, Facebook is going to reward you by making you spend less than if you're trying to target where all of the competition is, which is the ready to buy, in market, decision ready customers.
Well, there's a nugget,
right? Facebook, even Google rewards relevancy.
Yeah. No, and it's cheaper. If we go back, or more cost effective.
Yeah. There you go.
You had mentioned at the very beginning, before we went live or started recording, you've got an ebook,
dude. So yeah, let me just show you this real quick. So one of the things I wanted to do is capture in even more detail than we've talked about today, a strategic plan that business owners, marketing directors, salespeople could use to help them garner more business from their website, no matter what platform it is they're using. I don't care if it's WordPress. I don't care if it's dealer this and dealer that and whatever it is. They will be able to take what they learned from this ebook in a very step-by-step fashion, apply it to start seeing some immediate wins. So what I want to do is just show you a little bit about what I got going on here. I mean, it's not quite done yet. I'm putting the finishing touches on it, but dude, we've got so much content in here about this topic, how to get sales no matter what website platform you use. And we touch on it in a very, very conversational way. But as you can see, there is boatloads of content in here. So what I thought would be kind of cool is if we gave this away for those that are watching this right now. They can get early access. In fact, they can get pre-flow access by just hitting, hit you up in a direct message on Facebook or LinkedIn, or hit me up direct on Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever, and just say, hey man, get me a copy of that ebook, and we'll put you on the list here and send out the PDF. But you're going to get the best information I have, absolutely free, on how you can start doing this for your business. And really, yes, we've spent a lot of time talking about the context of the car industry, but I don't care if you're a chiropractor, a healthcare practitioner, a fitness expert that wants to grow your clientele, and you got a website, realtor, you don't know what to do with it, realtor, car dealer, you'll be able to take this information, apply it to your business so that you can start seeing some wins. And that's really what, that's my whole desire, man. I want to help people grow to the next level, and they can do that by getting a copy of the ebook.
Love it. Well, man, you dropped some big, fat, juicy bombs today, as promised, as delivered. I love the fact that you practice what you preach, that you do deliver amazing content. So for those of you that are thinking about, hey, who can help me with, my website, who can help me with growing my business? If this is the value you're getting right now for free, imagine what this guy's going to do for you when you're giving him money. So how do people find you?
Hit me up on social, man. Facebook, you can find me. Just type in my name and you'll see a picture of the strapling brute you see in front of you. Twitter, LinkedIn. I'm hanging out a lot on LinkedIn these days.
That's how this whole conversation started.
Yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn. Send me a direct message. You're not going to get some weird robot. I manage all of my own social media, so you know when you're chatting with me, you're actually chatting with me. And I just love helping people, man. The other night, it's like 10:30 p.m. Somebody hit me up in a direct message asking me, what they could do to help further their career to the next level, and that turned into like an hour-long live chat message of me just sharing some advice and helping any way I can. So beyond the money, man, I think that's really the important thing I want people to understand is that I'm here to help, and I want to help you do some heavy lifting, and the advice and the help and the value will always happen whether or not there's ink.
Love it. Service is always senior to selling. It's a core principle of ours, and I know it is of yours as well. So thank you very much. If you guys, for those of you watching, if you've got questions about what we do over here at Grant's office, feel free to shoot an email out to me, david@grantcardone.com. We can help you with all your sales training needs. Typically, we'll get you a 15 to 30% production increase. We'll do it in the first 90 days. And we got a formula for that. And what's cool about our formula as well is that it works whether you do business with us or not. So if you want to know what the formula is, reach out to me as well. Thank you, Michael Cirillo from Flex Dealer for hanging out with us today and delivering some amazing content. And whatever we can do to be a service to you all, we're both here for you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks.